house and sound from the box. Sweet, sweet rhythms knock off my socks. Ease me my mind, all of my stress we uplifted. Bless up, no stress tonight, burn it up.
I had a conversation with my mother. She was critiquing what I've been doing, and she said,
I'm sorry.
why don't you bring up, who you're talking to? It would be good to know their name, what their interests, what are they doing? Like, okay, that's a good point. I haven't been, I'm a bad host. So please do introduce yourself, Gina.
Well, I'm Gina.
You're Gina.
And what do you want to know? What do you want to know for the introduction?
What I want to know is, how did you get involved with Andrew and Dev? I know you told me briefly what drew you to start your conversation with them.
Yeah.
You can share kind of why you're still interested in speaking and having possibly a future relationship in a way with this group.
Good question, Mama.
To the point.
To the point. I was laughing because when you said I shared with my mom and I went to my mom and my relationship, I'm like, oh, he's not talking about plant medicine. He's talking about this. Okay. Well, I was on-air radio DJ for over 17 years. That's what I did, is radio shows, pre-podcasts. So I'm a very curious kitty. And I ask a lot of questions. And I was just reading an article about just some people in history. When we ask questions, sometimes that can ruin an entire event just by asking a simple question. And
yes.
And this leads to answering your question is, what drew me to and why am I still involved? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
I go by my instincts. And I'll have my friends will go, why are you doing it? If you're not this, like I'm doing some other thing with some guides, improv thing. And she says, why are you doing it if you're not excited? I go, oh, I don't know. I'm just doing it. So I don't go by excitement or joy or none of that. I go by, oh, there's something that's pulling me out of curiosity. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why. And that's pretty much where I live today. I don't know. I'm an unknown, and I'm very comfortable and present and accounted for in just being here. And so I told you that I'm a seeker, or I was, and I'm curious. So I'm always looking at what's going on. And a lot of what I see today online all over, I kind of giggle to myself. And this might happen as people get older and they're self-aware and paying attention is, oh, wow, some people are just experiencing this. Oh, okay. Huh. Oh, that too? Oh, that too? Oh, all of it. You start to go, what is happening? And so it's just the Dagas or the infinity of just everything just happens over and over and over again. And we have this endless question as to why. And the great mystery is that it's a mystery. Leave it a mystery. So the curiosity.
I want to interject that it may feel a little bit like you're kind of a point of a spear moment. Front runner.
Yeah, I used to get angry and be like, what the, they stole my idea. I can't even believe that. I'm the one who, right? I used to get really angry. And then as I continued to turn inward and inward to my own inner castle, my own being responsible for my reactions, came to a point, and it was a very, very close friend of mine who said, you're like, and I resonated with this, and it's, I'm at peace with it. I didn't used to be. I've been fighting it for a long time, or I was. You're like the kid on the playground. Everyone's playing on the swings in the jungle gym, and you see way off in the distance a teeter-totter. And you go, hey, let's go over there. And somebody follows you, and then they follow the follower. So that's it. It's a pointer. That's all. Mm-hmm. It takes the self-importance out of being alive, which is, for me is important.
Yes.
There is no, I'm not, it isn't that I'm any, I just see and I point. That's it. And sometimes people go, I don't see it. I don't smell that. Okay. Used to get angry. What do you mean you don't see that? What do you mean you don't smell that? Again, the war's over. Oh, okay. Well, you don't smell it. You don't see it. I do. And that's all. And that's it. It's really simple. And
Uh-huh.
so I have had, since I was self-employed for years after my radio career. So since 2017, 18, I've been working for other people. And in that journey, as I go to Craigslist, now people say to me, you didn't get this job off another Craigslist ad, did you? Or another person, how do you get all these wild gigs? Fucking Craigslist. What is everybody?
Yeah.
Craig was the first. Why we, he was the initial. Or he or she or whatever. But I do tend to, I take it on my phone, I take it off my phone. Craigslist amazes me for volunteer opportunities and definitely jobs. So it's, there's a different unique people. I've had people tell me from responding to an ad, I've had a response of, you need help, just from my response to their ad for help. I've had all kinds of, it's really quite a rock opera life. It's just, it's a play, and I'm a character, and I always wanted to be a character actress. Wanted to be, the actor in you see them all the movies, but you don't know what their name is. And I realized, oh, wait a minute, I am a character actress. I'm just not famous and making money, but maybe that's because that's not what it's about. I don't know. So I was perusing, and, I might pop it open when I'm in line or something, whatever. And I saw this psychedelics coach. And I think I told you this the other night when we talked. My instinct was, oh, Jesus, now what are they doing? Now what are they going to do? Just hiring people to talk to people, like, without any experience? And I mean, how are they going to throt them? So anyway, I'm like, you know what? Instead of going into judgment, curious, then judgment. See, they catch it. You go in and be curious, but if you're going to go in to try to do anything, forget it. So I'm like, well, I'm curious. And that's how I responded to his post initially. And I thought, okay, well, I'm curious what they're doing. I've been watching for a long time, since before tourism started, and with Cambo and Bufo and all the plants and this path, which just reminds me of back in the 60s and 70s when they were experimenting with drugs. It was just different drugs, Always cannabis seems to always be alive and well in all of them. So, so and then I talked to Elton, that's you, Andrew.
Yeah.
And we had talked, it was an immediate, like we talked, it had to have been 2 hours. It was easy. There was nothing. It was such a beautiful water. It was just like we were just floating. There was no ego. There was no evident ego on either end or agenda. And there was just like even dropping into even more truth and more honesty in what we're really doing. And well, here's what we're really going on. And to me, that's the unseen. The mystery is like, wow, I don't even know who this guy is. This is a total stranger, which never surprises me because I often connect with strangers very easily. So it was a long conversation, and it was just easy. And I'm like, I love this. It's just like, all right. So the conversation hooked me to continue, even though I still don't know what you guys are doing. I mean, I'm still not clear. I don't know if you guys are, but what I loved at that, the main part of it was it wasn't about hiring somebody and paying them to do a job.
Yes.
And then we talked about bartering and how ML. We talked about all of it, and that's when I'm like, okay, this is cool. This is the same thing with the improv guy. I grew up doing improv. I decided I'm gonna do something while I'm here in this small town. Connected with this guy, and he is so excited. Oh my God, he's so excited. So I'm like, okay, you do it. Oh yeah, I'll just show up. He's like, oh, really? You okay with that? I'm like, yeah. Oh, because I know how to lead and I know how to follow, and he's excited and he wants to control everything. I don't care about any of it. I'll show up, sure, and let the unseen breath that we all share just happen, just like you and I talking right now. So that's a long answer to your question of how I got involved and what I saw. I don't think most people see things. Well, we all see things differently. I don't think I'm the majority of, I don't, you know, what's the word, Roshan, where 13 different perceptions of the same, so
Ah,
13 different people will see the same thing and different angle, lighting, where I'm coming,
differently.
yeah. So
Hmm.
I like that.
These are themes that have keep coming up, and to touch on that, as far as themes, what I'm seeing from this group of people that I've been having interviews with and speaking with is a common thread of this being in the now. And that's something that I want to say comes from experience with psychedelics, is being connected to spirit essence and being led by your spirit has a lot to do with being in the moment, because you can't necessarily listen to what the spirit in your heart is telling you when you're thinking of the past or the future. You have to be in the moment. And this is a common thread. And this also leads to the point of, does anybody really know what we're doing? Is there a true plan? And I want to say it's gelling. It's hard to have a good solid plan when everybody is in the now.
That right there should be on a t-shirt. I mean, to me, that's the new world that everyone's talking about. Apparently, we're in now. Is how can you have a plan when you're in the present? Because our conditioning is, where if you were a tree, where do you see yourself? I mean, that was so perfectly put. You need to write that. Did you write that down? I'm serious.
It's filmed.
You got to write it down, and it's got to be a bumper. I mean, because it's the truth, and it's a. I mean, I just felt that in my whole body is how refreshing to be around people who can say, we don't know what we're doing, but we're doing something. Yes.
We're doing something.
Yes, because the old models are blah.
Yes.
You don't get hired off a resume anymore.
Everybody wants to get into this group and have their part, but nobody knows what part they're playing. But everybody obviously has a different place around the fire where they're experiences in life and their capabilities have a obvious place in the group. I think as I meet everybody, I'm starting to see that we all need to have group meetings to really set the true agenda. Ultimately, that's going to form out of the bigger groups, because I'm seeing people that are course study, psychotherapists, alchemists, plant medicine, people who are servers, who have gone through the medicine journeys and are helping other people through serving. And, you put everybody together and have conversations. That's when a actual group that can facilitate to the public starts to gel. And I think that's the ultimate at the end of this goal, is that a place is found, a course, basically a process for people to be vetted. And then what is the process of, initial bringing people in and vetting them, and then going through the process, and then after ceremony, debriefs and integration work and all these things. And then also having studies going on, research, people who are getting funding, and there's going to be a lot of aspects that I'm seeing all coming together out of this, but it doesn't come together until we all come together and start having the group meetings. I think as I'm putting these videos out, everybody's able to see each other, and I'm going to be putting group meetings as I'm going to figure Zoom out. I can have 27 participants right now, but obviously I don't think more than 4 at a time. And then everybody start having cross meetings, 4 and 4 here and there, and we all start having our conversations. And then whoever's more relevant to be connecting with each other, start making those one-on-one connections, because that is the ultimate goal, is to bring about a actual place physically where we can serve the public, people who need integration, who will benefit from this, that, admittedly, it's people with trauma mostly, and soldiers, but it's not just that. It's people who are seeking, a path of awakening their own inner selves to be in the now. Is what I keep coming to. Is people want to understand how to be in the now. Everybody's stuck in these where they're going to go or where they've been, but they're not present. And that's what I get out of my experience with psychedelics personally, is that it has brought me to consciousness in the moment and to appreciate the now. And yeah, that's what I see the goal eventually being. But my part is just to facilitate meetings, I think. First one-on-ones that everybody can watch, but then groups and have the group meetings. That's where I think it all starts to really make sense of where we're going. Because as I said, it's hard to tell. I don't know where we're going when we're all just right in the now doing.
God, honestly, if there's so many offerings of people, everyone's selling something, especially in this realm. But no one will pay for the certification just to be and do nothing. And that to me is being in the now, is not doing anything. Well, I have to do something, but do you? Because if we look at our history, I hear many people say now, this is the worst time ever. Maybe it's the worst time ever that you've experienced in your life. This is not the worst time ever in humanity. If we go into history, this is not the worst time ever. It has always been like this. So
yes.
What's happening in my feels is it feels like the worst time ever because we're in it. Yes. It's no negating. It's fucked. Or if it is, I mean, I could go to a place to where it'll shut everybody down right away. And I've seen a few people say things that I've said, and they're never gonna go viral in this context because it's just, what? How could you say that? And like, for example, what was it that I was just going to go with that? Darn it, I forgot. So some of the symbols that you see in my hands, they're called, I don't know if you're familiar with the runes. It's Northern European lore. They're symbols. There's symbols in every tradition on sigils. Back when global warming, I think it was back when what's his name was running for president. What was his name when he had the documentary, when it really started becoming, I can't even remember his name now. Global warming, which led us to a group of people that I studied the Northern European lore with, is what if it isn't that the ice caps are melting just because of global warming? But what if the ice caps melting is revealing more of what's been hidden and forgotten? And that was back in 2012. And I feel very strongly that that is what we're experiencing, is because of social media and the web. More is being revealed because more of what's been hidden is getting out there because everybody's being informed now. That's what the worst time ever feels like, is the hiding is ending. Like you saying, we have an idea, but no one really knows why. Why would we? No one's getting paid right now, so why are we doing this? Because that is not what it's about. That's not what any of this is about. It's what we've been apparently taught that it's about. That's a whole nother wormhole, spirit of currency, blah, 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 money and all that too. So, a friend of mine would say, are you willing to get on the cross? And that's how I feel about it. Am I willing to get on the cross? Everyone's got what they complaining and blaming and da-da-da-da. But am I, Gina, Louise, Machula, me, willing to give up all my comforts and stop and get on the cross? No, because I'm sitting here in very comfortable clothing in my very nice apartment on an internet, which costs money. So no, I'm not willing to get on the cross. And to me, kind of, if that makes any sense to you, until we're all ready to just say, hey, we don't know what we're doing, but we're all going to get together and just be present. It feels like that's what maybe is happening. We're all one. And I used to always say, we're not all one. If we're all one, give me your guitar. I'm not giving you my guitar. Well, I thought we were all one. But what I feel is that, yes, we're all connected. But I think this is becoming one, forgetting, not remembering. So
Right.
forgetting everything. And this is what it's like, because there's so many traditions and there's so many myths and there's religious, spiritual, mystic. There's a million different beliefs, right? It's just choose one or don't choose any. And that's where I'm at. And I don't know that there's one I haven't walked or studied or taught myself. And then it's just like, okay. But underneath it all, we're just human. And some really.
I started off, with more of a early understanding of astral travel and the pure essence of spirit, and basically more of an Akashic connection as a very young child. But what I was saying was, from a young age, I definitely had church and God and religion, and my mom was into the Sioux religion. My father's a Buddhist. They have their religions. I, from a very young age, never saw that any of it was the source. I feel that I had a very, very clear understanding that belief is the key. Whatever people put their belief and energy into is real. So if you have a group of people that all believe that God is the key or Buddha is the key or whatever, as long as they have the strong will and belief in that, they can do whatever they believe. They can heal, they can hurt, they can do whatever that they put their belief into. This is the same principle of why sorcery, witchcraft, these things work, because people started to understand the purposeful usage of their own will and and this seemed to me to be the real purpose of what Jesus was trying to teach people. Is we have that ability within us. We are creators. We have manifestation. We have the power of creating into reality and manifestation into reality in us. We give it away. We say that God has the power or other people have or whatever else, but it is us ourselves that what we put into and we pour ourselves into empowers that more than anything, more than just pure religion having that ability. And that's just my personal belief from very young. I never really put a lot of stock into organized religion, except for like the Masons and the Rosicrucians. It seemed like these hidden schools of teaching had those keys. They purposefully taught each other how to use manifestation and to collect their energy and use it willfully and create reality on purpose as a group. And for me, that's just witchcraft, just plain and simple sorcery that they don't want the masses to know or understand. They want to keep that knowledge to themselves, is how I've always looked at it. And I think that's what, like, the Catholic Church, they know about this. They offshot from the Rosicrucians. They definitely knew these things and use only what they want to control the public and keep everybody in their subservient place, in a sense. This is all my take on it, and it doesn't really have anything to do with psychedelics, but it's something that, for me, it opened that up when I was starting to partake in my teens. It came clear to me, like you were talking about the runes and your tattoos and the symbols. Symbols are the communication of spirit, and they definitely are the way that spirit speaks to us, others, and other spirits, and it lets the spirit world see us for who we not only are, but who we've been, like our essence, spirit pathwise in past lives can be communicated through our tattoos and that to the spirits, like druidic, in a sense, where they put their tattoos on and then their tattoos grew power over time through attracting spirits, and the knowledge that they've accumulated through past lives is admitted to themselves over time.
You had said before you, and thanks for sharing. This doesn't have anything to do with psychedelics, and my feeling is that it has everything to do with it, because what your experiences are before you experience psychedelics affects your psychedelic experience. And you and I sharing that you had just experienced Bufo for the first time, and you asked me about my time. That's the one of the many that I only did once. Everything else I've done way too many times at this point, or I should say enough times. And the Bufo I did once. And after the next day or that night or whatever, and I also probably was working through my own drama. Anyways, I tried to almost cut these off of my hands.
Really?
I was freaking out. The sign just came up. I was freaking out about I just started going into some kind of dramatic thing, and my friend showed up, and I was literally getting ready to cut these out. I was just like out of it, and I don't really think about that much, nor have I talked about it much, because it just was an experience, and I didn't. Although I did try to have them lazily removed later when I was coherent. But and listening to you, I do feel that. I remember when I very first started sitting with ayahuasca, and I was in the jungle for 2 months. This was back in 2017. And I volunteered first because I always feel like I was a guest first, a participant, and then I volunteered to help others. And the woman who was leading it, and she was a white woman, but there were curanderos there who didn't, they all spoke Spanish and Shipibo, which is an actual language similar to Spanish. And they didn't really do anything other than dieta to prepare you. I think maybe they did some yoga, but whatever, everyone does that. So this is beyond that. And then my friend who had been into Vipassana, she did a Vipassana meditation when I was volunteering, after I was a guest. And I said to her, why don't you like, this is perfect to do, like, before any time, especially new people, because some people come into psychedelics, they've never sat quiet, they've never meditated, they have no experience with self-reflection, and a lot of people have. A friend of mine just shared, she lives in Arizona, she went to Mexico, she goes, oh my God, it was the worst, and she never asked for my input in searching, and I don't butt in unless I'm asked anymore. I just don't. I'm not here to interfere with anybody's suffering or healing or whatever. So I don't, I used to. I'll give you my input. I don't do that anymore. And she had a really negative experience. And by the way, she did do years of Vipassana and AA for years. And so I don't know she still hasn't talked to me about it. But I do feel like all of it does have to do with when you're going into that kind of psychedelic experience. That's just mean that, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. When I observed it, I saw a big difference in myself and others that kind of helped. Because some people, when they panic and freak out, they don't know. I can remember the curandero kept saying, she would come over and do her individual healings, and she would say, this was like when I was still new with the medicine, concentrate. That's all she would say. It's only English word she said. Concentrate. And then we did these flower baths that are a big part of the tradition before each ceremony. And we did ayahuasca like 15 nights in a row. It was wild. She finally said, we're giving you a different plant bath because you guys are so in your heads. We can't get in there. We need to help purify. And I've heard that later too, that has to do with money. So I've got all kinds of experiences all around, and swishing and swimming and rapids and smooth, and then finally, this must have been, I don't know, the 10th ceremony in, I finally said to her, the translators there, concentrate on what?
Right.
What the plants. I'm like, well, why didn't you say that? I mean, it's simple. Concentrate on the plants.
Yeah.
The plants are you know, dragons, they're roots, and you're seeing the roots and you're seeing the dirt. It isn't a dragon and a snake's gonna eat you. You're seeing the fucking plants.
Right.
And then to be on Toei and different, the plants are crawling, and then where you really see them. Or you know, but that was part of me noticing, like, why would you not give people something? Because people are freaking I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen such dangerous. I've seen it. This is one of the reasons why I walked away. I just, the westernization of it's just like, you got to be, what I saw, and I sat after Peru, the 2 months of my first year of walking on that path. What I got was sit with as many different facilitators, and I did. Many Westerners and many other Mexican, Spanish, Brazilian, different cultures.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, just like, wow, it's just, the discernment is so important. And I think we're going here is I have a public group. I'll read threads now. I keep seeing, like, you know, they've over-farmed, not just with essential oils like robes, now Palo Santo, and now they're doing Obenzama, and everyone is selling everything in margin. I mean, it's just the way we do.
Right.
It's been that way forever. If you go back, it's been that way in my memory, especially since the 80s, early 80s, with Native American shamanism and sweat lodges and what's his name that wrote all the books. But anyway, so it's just, I don't know where I was going. I don't remember what the question was. You had said it had nothing to do with psychedelics, and I do think having experience in other traditions and self-reflection before sitting with the medicine, I think, can help you perhaps have a less fearful, freaked out experience.
It does, I think. I want to say you brought up an interesting point with your reaction towards your tattoos. Have you studied into witch wounds? You have? So, I mean, that's the first thing that comes to mind for me, is that there's obviously something in your past life where you were somehow persecuted over your abilities, and your abilities are attached to your tattoos, and your re-assimilation of those abilities and those powers, and the association with how they basically caused something terrible in the past because of how they were viewed, is still a very strong affliction, right? To have such a reaction towards just symbols, and that's, I think, in a lot of ways, why the Druids had such a long process of imbuing their powers into their tattoos, because there is a process of integration. It's not just simple inking of your skin. It's the inking of the skin, and then all of the honing of the powers and the abilities that the spirits that are drawn to your symbols and the connections to them, and then also the afflictions, in a sense. It's like being afflicted. When you know certain things and you know of certain experiences and energies, you're also forced to integrate those circumstances. And it's very uncomfortable, right? To deal with darkness. I'm going to just say darkness, because that's what it amounts to, in a sense. Like, sometimes, like in Persephone's story, you have to go into the dark for half the season, because that's where half of life is. It's not all in the light, but it's uncomfortable. That's where all the muddy, growth, and that's where the roots grow and the seeds are sown, and all that stuff are in the mud and in the dark. But that's where the power is gained to grow the tree to reach to the heights as well. And that's just what came up when you were telling me about your tattoos, and definitely, awakenings that happen. Is that's one thing that came up through Bufo, was I had a realization about my own tattoos, and I feel people looking at them in public, and people notice, and they're like, they have odd sense. I can tell when they see them, and I'm just like, at this point, I really don't care. It's not
Do
about
you
them.
have any on your hands?
What's that?
Have them on your arms or on your hands?
Yeah, I have them on my arms. I'm like, where's the camera at? Yeah, I don't know which one you can see me out of, but yeah, I've got tattoos on my arms and a little bit on my hands, my legs, a little bit, but they're all just spiritual meanings to me personally. None of them have anything to do with, they're just symbols.
Well, it sounds like you're like me. I didn't go to a tattoo parlor and go, oh, how about that one? There's a lot. I mean, I have a whole, you said tree, I have a whole tree on my back, and I have 24 runes and branches and roots all on my back. And it's funny we're talking about, well, it's interesting we're talking about tattoos, because I just yesterday was like, kind of wish I don't have these. Well, every once in a while I'll be like, yeah, I don't know. I don't go there very often since, I don't know, it was a couple years ago. I was actually going to Arizona, and and like you said, I can feel, I mean, I get this, they're looking at my hands, and either people look and going to go like this, or people go, what are those? So those are the two. You can feel it. Like you said, I can feel they're looking. One guy in a restaurant one day, I was sitting across from a couple. I was eating out alone, long story short. And I said to them, because they were too funny, I said, I got to be honest with you too. I'm listening. I can't help but listen. You guys are cracking me up. So they started engaging me, and he's like, well, you're just a big old soft. You got all those tattoos. You look like you've been serving time in prison. You don't have the personality. And so just that,
Right.
and that's what we do as human beings. I mean, it's the whole
TV.
typecasting.
Yes.
Again, and I see it in my everyday. I'm going, wow, they're totally typecasting. What does that mean to me? I'm not affected by what you do, but I'm noticing that you're affected by you typecasting. You're typecasting. You're missing. That's right. It's like right in front of you, but when we're in that typecast, which I've been, it's like it's right there. I was looking up there.
Yes.
It's quite a fascinating life when it's not taken too seriously.
That is true. Yeah, people do. They definitely have their preconceived notions about tattoos and things, but it is also how we hold that ourselves as well. Being dark in Arizona. This is rough growing up. It was always in my face. But I got to say, towards the end of my teen years, I finally came to a place where I was like, I got to see what this is about in the real world. What is it that everybody hates so much about me, because I am typecast? They don't know me. They don't hate me because of me. They hate me because of some notion that they have of me. So I went and I moved to one of the worst ghettos you could find in Richmond, California, to see what is it? What's going on? Like what? And, after that experience that I had there for a couple of years, I was really at home with me. And I came back to Arizona with a new sense of myself, where I no longer reflected what was expected. I could reflect off that essence that people were trying to put onto me. And that was empowering. And I kind of carry that into my tattoos and stuff. They have meaning to me. They're empowering spiritually. For me, they're magical in a sense. I take it to the sense of magic. And I still don't have that sense of, when people look at me and they see my tattoos, I get that feeling of, they want to typecast me in a sense. But then they try and it doesn't hold. They're like, why isn't the energy affecting you like it normally does? This usually works. And I just look them in the eye and they're like, whoa, like you're totally not even affected. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Let's have a conversation. You know, like, since you're looking me in the eye, now we have to talk because there's something going on. And I engage people now instead of allowing that to be the energetic hold. I feel engaged in a sense. If somebody's going to attempt to typecast me, I'm not going to aggressively go and try to change their mind, but I do feel moved to do something. What? I don't know. Just go talk to them. Maybe it's just a look, but a lot of times it's just a reflection of energy back. Like, here, this is what you're sending to me. And they're like, ooh, I don't like that. Yeah, me either. They're like, whoa. And I can tell over time, since I've gained that capability, I want to say energetically, I have affected a lot of people and changed who they are to their core just by reflecting back to them what they expected. And they feel like, wow, that's weird. Why did I? And over time, they're like, I don't even understand why I was doing that. And they'll open up later, like, I don't know why I was. It was weird. It's just, I guess, something I was raised into. It's like, yeah, but we can all change. Change is real. You can. Comfort level, right?
I love those conversations. I'm not interested in small talk. I can do it. I just don't want to. Mm-hmm. And I'll do it briefly, but I won't stick around for very long if I know that's what it is. But I really love getting into that. You know, I bought some coffee beans from a guy at a farmer's market this morning, and we were exchanging money, and he started to take my money, not look at me, and I held on to my card, and then he looked at me, and I go, I like to make eye contact when I'm exchanging money. And then we start talking about how that used to be natural. Now you have to teach it. People won't look. And it's just, you know, so we start having a conversation.
Yeah.
Which led to authentic conversation. Like the woman saying, she goes, oh yeah, I'm from New York. I'm not nice, except when I'm selling my beans. That's it. I mean, there's no more truth than that. As soon as I walk away, that smell's going to go away. She goes, yeah. Like, I love that. And when I have those, what you're talking about, reflection, and yeah, it's just the whole idea of, I used to be obsessed with the truth. I can smell a lie. Yeah. And I was looking for the lie. I was looking for it. That's why I was smelling it. Right. And I was on, I know that you're, and then I realized, oh my God, as time went on, whoa, this is part of your war. Who you look in Inner Castle and out. Who? No, nobody's saving. No one's coming. Nobody's coming. I will be affected by other people, but no one's coming to save me, pay me, rescue me. It's not happening. Heidi Mason. Except for whoever's calling me right now.
Yeah, there are those expectations and preconceived notions that cause an effect on what is. And that goes back to, you know, the manifestation of reality. You know, that we are our own creators of our own reality, and we share in it, though. This is a conversation I was having with Ray, was that, you know, everything that is an observer, down from the grasshopper to the lizard to the bird, is a participant of creation of reality that we live in. We all play our part, but some of us, a large part of us, are unconscious participants. We're like sleepwalkers. We create, but we are unaware that we are creators. We don't know our own power, so we kind of give it away to the church or TV or friends or groups. The group notion, the group thought of how things are work and what it's supposed to be is given to us rather than us deciding what it'll be. And that's something that I kind of find in the psychedelic awakenings and these journeys, is it's a regaining of that sovereignty when you go to the now, to that moment of right here, right now, is finding that in presence, you can't help but see that things that are happening right now are a lot of causation of focus. And what it is you're putting your energy into has a lot to do with what is happening to others, to yourself. It depends on what you're focusing on. I mean, we can even help or harm others by our focus, but I think a lot of people don't realize that. We don't give the due that it's due.
Dog, sorry. This is like rush hour for me all of a sudden. Hold on.
Right?
He's calling me from New Zealand.
Oh, is that your son?
Yeah. He said he's homesick. Anyway, go ahead.
No, that was just a thought on, kind of the point of these medicine journeys, these retreats that people do go to, and that we're eventually going to be basically hosting, is for that purpose, really, is to help people find that sovereignty, find the now, and find that ability to be empowered in their own selves. Because that's where we find our happiness, I think. Like, that's where these people who have PTSD, like soldiers coming back, people who have been through trauma, they find their happiness again through that being comfortable in the now, coming back to that. And that's what I see, the psychedelic nature of what we're trying to build and starting to build, the purpose of that.
When you said, are you saying that you're going to be doing ceremonies? They're going to be doing ceremonies?
Well, yeah, that's the ultimate purpose of what's going on with this group, is to be hosting ceremonies and having basically retreats with, Bufo. There's already one person in the group is a licensed therapist who administers ketamine. She's been doing this professionally for years now, and that's part of her clinical practice. Is she is an administrator of ketamine for psychological reasons, and basically helps people with trauma mostly. We've got another gentleman that does the psilocybin and what is it called? Ibogaine. So those two are what he administers. And I think he is going to be doing the Bufo as well. So these are all retreats that they're hosting, and psychological practices, professional practices for integration of self, integration and reformatting how they feel about what they've gone through, not necessarily trying to overcome issues, because that, I think, is imaginary. You can't change what's happened to you in your life. You can only reframe it, ultimately. Come at a different perspective, like you started in the beginning about we all sit in the different places around the fire, but sometimes that's what happens during a retreat or during, use of a psychoactive substance, is you literally get up at your place in the fire and sit in a different place and get that different perspective from that place. And you're like, wow, that's refreshing. And now I see it in a new light, and this works better for me to hold on to what I've been through in a different way and use it as something that's empowering rather than debilitating. So I think that's kind of where they're headed with this, is to start helping people to reframe existences, their reinterpret experience. Do you think that makes sense?
Yeah, sure does.
I mean, that's kind of what's already happening individually. And that's what I'm seeing is this group is going to be doing that as a group somewhere.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of in my many years and many experiences, what I found lacking in many of the medicine, the servers, and I've served and I've facilitated and all that too, is lack of elders. Lack of elders. There's nobody. There's a lot of people putting people on pedestals.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think having elders, meaning having elders keeping people in check, because I've seen a lot of people go off the rails after integration, after, you spend a week with people, weekend's not long enough, but anyway, that's just my opinion.
Right.
That is what I found the most often is people giving away their power, and there's no elders. A lot of nobody. And when I say elder, you know the difference between an elder and older.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Experience.
So not just, and even just self-reflection, wisdom, self-awareness, fairness. Like I said earlier, not this. Yeah, just like. I think an elder asks questions that cause people pause, and that's the idea. Does it come back here where it's like chaos? And being somebody who asks questions, I've disrupted many groups with my questions, right, where there's no elders. At the time, I may not have been older in my years. I had one woman, long story short, I saw it right in front of me. I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to be getting? Or what am I supposed to be? What is this? Because here we are again. This was towards me realizing that I need to step off the path with Westerners serving. And long story short, I asked her after she divulged just something to me and pulled me aside. I said, if I was an elder, would you have responded this way to me? And she goes, I wouldn't have told you if you were an elder. Oh, bam, right there. Guess what? You just told an elder, but because of your, what are we talking, typecasting, right? And you're looking at me as whatever it is that you think, because I was vulnerable in front of you once. Like, I find that if you're vulnerable, which I am, because I am who I am, I'm going to be, if there's something going on, I'm going to emote it. I'm not going to pretend to be, and I will not allow you to put me on a pedestal. Because people do it. It's what we do. Yes. Without learning discernment. You only learn that through experience if you're paying attention. And that blew me away so much. I was like, and then I watched what unfolded after, and I just kept my mouth shut and watched and observed. And it was interesting what unfolded. And that's where I find the true magic is this. What's this for? I mean, that's the only question I have. Like, what's this really for? Yes. Is this to hum? Is this for talking? Is it for drinking, eating? This is what is closest to source for me, is the breath and the tongue. And what I'm learning as I'm aging, is I feel strongly that I'm becoming an elder, not because I want to be respected or just because I'm learning how I am my own elder to myself, because I don't have very many either. Mm-hmm. And again, it's part of the ice melting of what's been hidden, forgotten, or dead. And a lot of our elders are dead. And that to me is so important in these. I've been to so many, the big box and the small and the medium, and just am blown away what I see based on what you said earlier. If one believes something, they're creating it, and others are going to join in. Yes. And if you got, it's like, are you familiar with the Icaros?
No.
Icaros are what is used by the true curanderas in South America that are raised in the medicine world. They're not necessarily songs for, oh, let's sing a song. They come from the plants and the animals through the curandera. They're given to the curandera individually, and that is what they use during their ceremony and their healing. And it doesn't always sound good. And sometimes there's two of them. If anybody's lucky enough to experience true authenticity, two of them going around the room, doing their individual singing, two different Icaros at the same time. So there's been times where I'm listening to Icaros, which is apparently what they're using to. It's kind of like the best way to explain it is the healing songs, although that's just the easiest, the simplest way to put it. That at times it was like a mosquito buzzing in my ear. Sometimes, like Iboga, you mentioned ibogaine, which is different than Iboga. It's chemical versus non. The Iboga ceremony, oh my God, the music, oh my God, tap, 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 tap. I mean, sometimes in these circles, the music is not there. It's not why it's there, but it is how some people want it to be there, to show off their talent. It's not what it's about, because even in African tradition, these songs don't sound good. They're not toe tap and hey, it's a screeching, yelling. It's not about sounding good. And also they can envelop your entire body and you don't hear anything. It's just vibration. So it's just, it's individual. But that experience, I feel, is, I'm grateful that I was able to experience true tradition, because the story behind ayahuasca anyways is the patients didn't drink the medicine. Only the medicine person or the ayahuasquero or the curandero drank it. It wasn't until the 80s. I did a cover story on a friend of mine who used to intern with him, actually. She's much older now. They came to do a cover story, and he was on the cover, and that was it. Then white people said, well, we want to drink it. So they started paying, and of course they took money.
Right.
So that's when it all started with Silicon Valley Cumberland and blah, blah, blah. So, but the true history is that if you were coming for healing, you didn't drink the medicine. You didn't dare drink it. They drank it. They communed, and they did their smoking and their hibacho and the baths. And so to me, once I learned that, that's all I cared about. And I wanted to know if other people knew the history, because I just feel like if you don't even know the history of what you're doing, I don't personally feel safe with you. And for me, it's about feeling safe. So, and some of us just get, and I have such a desperate state of lack or pain, as you said. It takes time for what I've been able to experience in the dark, in my endarkenment, is to let the pain blossom.
Yes.
Flower. I'm no longer trying to get rid of my pain. I feel the pain needs to go to the earth, in the sense of our feet and our bodies on the earth and digging and screaming in the ground, which I've done, versus throwing all of our containers with all the temporary relief. I don't think that's what the earth wants. And that's why when you said earlier, I do have a vision, and I've had it for a lifetime of, you see the old paintings where the women are naked by the river, and they're all constantly sultry, they're all skinny, and they also didn't have tattoos, but that's a whole other story. Just hanging out and just living, no agenda, nobody's trying to sell anything. To me, that in my heart is where I live, and I'm still exploring that for myself.
Right.
So yeah, we're just being to be, and it's this conversation we're having. It's a common conversation. It isn't about agreeing to disagree. No, there is no agreeing to disagree. It's curious. I'm curious what your experience is. You're curious, but I'm not here to let me just agree just because that gets into my belief versus yours. And those are the kind of conversations I grew up in AA, and I grew up in meetings. I've walked in voluntarily at age 18. I'm 50. I'm going to be 60 years old in April. When I started doing plant medicine and they do integration circles or ceremonies, I'm like, oh, this is just a big fucking AA meeting. I grew up in this. I'm so comfortable, and I think people aren't, I just, It's like
Yeah. Oh,